Hi. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy new week to each and everyone. We are now live here in Global TV Network. So, if you are watching this from Good People TV, I hope you get to watch this. For those who are watching from my page, this is your Diet Doctora, Dr. Josephine Grace Chua Rojo. So if you are commenting through my page, know that I will not be able to see your comments because I am now broadcasting via Global TV Network. So if you can, as support, of course, to our dear staff and producers of Global TV Network, if you can help by sharing this video, liking their page, and also following, it would mean so much for all of us. So I hope you get to share this also to our groups, to our pages. So we have Life Without Rice, we also have low carb feasting and fasting community, and also of course the other groups that Global TV Network is managing, and as well as Good People TV. So today our episode is about low calorie diet. So know that we are still into low carb. So what we advocate actually is a low carbohydrate diet, plus of course the incorporation of fasting, maybe intermittent fasting or extended fasting, whichever is will you think suit you best. But generally, any type of fasting is natural for us humans, but it will take some time before we can really get used to it. So if you are watching this for the first time, welcome to our episode of What's Up Doc. We are now in our new time slot, so it's around 6:10 already. We are quite late. I'm so sorry. We've had a full day, especially Mondays, for all of our patients. Thank you so much to all of our friends in all of our groups who are still here. So thank you for being online. Rosemary, Noridek, Cookie, Mac Angeles, may question na agad. Okay lang po ba, Doc? Pwede yung banana before workout yon? Kasi ang common sa mga nag-workout, especially sa mga athletes. It will depend on you. It's not live Q&A today, okay? Live Q&A is reserved for Fridays, where questions are always entertained, and we try our best. We don't have a specific topic. We just accommodate the questions that our viewers are throwing. But for you, since you are one of the first to be online and comment, I will answer that. So it will depend on you. It will depend, of course, on how fat adapted you are, if that's the only carbohydrate intake you will take, or if you are into low carb. If you are not into low carb, so you can just do that, you can benefit from that. But actually, if you are into low carb, you wouldn't need so much of that, and caloric intake coming from carbohydrates can be cycled like once or twice every week if you are working out heavily. But if you are actually not working out heavily, then you don't need, or at least to say it safely, we do not have the right to do some carb cycling, or because we won't be able to get the benefit from it. So for example, 4 to 6 times a week, then you can also benefit. For muscle building, you can do carb cycling 1 to 2 times a week. But for us who are just minimal to almost not reaching moderate amount of physical activity, especially not exercise, not heavy lifting, not weightlifting, not rigorous as HIIT, then carb cycling may not be the best for us, or else we might just negate or just cancel out the benefits that we got from low carb and fasting. Okay, so thank you for answering, Cookie, Jenny, Annabelle, Amabel, Belle Adriano, Mac Angeles, thank you so much. Henry, Romeo, thank you so much for being here. Kindly share this to our friends in Life Without Rice and Low Carb Feasting and Fasting community. And Sheila CP, looking fresh. Now, more power. Thank you so much. So we have special episodes because I think one follower, one friend sent me a TikTok video of another somewhat health coach that said that the only way to lose weight is through less calories, low calorie diet. And that's actually one of the most popular when it comes to weight loss, the low calorie diet. And even for doctors, whenever we say you have to lose weight, the first that comes to mind would just eat less. So that idea has been a no for us low carbers, and also especially for those who are doing keto. It is said that by experience, by most people, we are actually not limiting our calories, but what we are looking into is actually limiting our insulin in the body, the insulin spike. So regardless of how much food you eat, regardless of how often, but as long as you stick to the foods that lowers the insulin level, then fat burning comes naturally. So that's just how our body works. And there is a science behind it. Simply because fat burning, or lipolysis, if we want to be technical about it, the conversion or the burning or the usage or the utility of fats and transporting it into energy is blocked by insulin. So whenever there is insulin, so I will tell you what happens, why there is fat burning without insulin, and why there is no fat burning without insulin. So what is your favorite food that is high carb? So say for example, for me it would be a cake. So I will write a cake here, and then we just put some icing there and some. So this is a cake, and then when you eat a cake, it will lead to increased blood sugar. So that's blood sugar, okay? Okay, I will just put sugar in it. I don't want you thinking of other BS. So this is blood sugar. Whenever your blood sugar is increased, your body will also lead to an increase in insulin, okay? So insulin would also be increased. So the function of insulin will try to lower down your sugar. So by the time your insulin is increased, your sugar will be low. So most of the practice that we have today are just stuck with this knowledge. They thought that as long as you increase your insulin, your blood sugar will be low. What they don't know is that the moment it is so low, your insulin will be still in your system for up to 18 hours. Okay? For up to 18 hours. And it will continue to make you crave for more sweets, so that you will increase your sugar, so that your insulin will lower it down again. Okay? You are always stuck in this cycle. Okay? And what happens if you break from this? Will do you think you will already lose fats? Yes, in the long run, if you stick to not giving in to this cycle. But actually, as long as insulin is there is a function of insulin that is not so famous. So our fat cells, it's like this. It's like ring-like structures, okay? So it's like fat globules. They look like that. So this is actually a fat cell. So a fat cell, this is made up of fats, and this is the nucleus, okay? So this is the nucleus. So that's why in histopathology, meaning when you look at it from the microscope, you can see it as globes, as round ring-like structure. So it's like a signet ring appearance, okay? So that's a signet ring appearance. Your body will never use this as energy, because whenever insulin is released, it automatically goes to your fat cells and block its metabolism or oxidation or burning. That's why you will never use your fats as energy, and your body will be dependent only on sugar as a source of energy. Because between sugar and fats as a source of energy, sugar is like coal. It's like an easily burned wood. So your body, through the process of insulin, will never actually use other forms as long as sugar is there. As long as sugar is there, it will be very dependent on that. And that is also the reason why, even if, say for example, because cake is a food that is mixed with both fats and sugar. So say for example, you are not eating cake. So say for example, you are eating rice. So for example, you are eating only rice. So rice is devoid of fats. But if you eat this rice, it will still spike your sugar. As what one of our posts said, a cup of rice, 1 cup of rice, will actually spike your insulin up to 10 to 11 teaspoons of white sugar. Okay? Okay. So, pardon for a while. I think somebody's is in the door. Okay, so we will check if somebody can open that. And then 1 cup of rice will lead to an increase in your sugar, just like just like a 10 to 11 teaspoon of white sugar. Okay? So that one will keep you, it will keep you looking for sugar for more than 18 hours at a time. Okay? So that is how our body works. And your fats will be there. It will stay there. Okay? It will be there for as long as insulin's there. So if you want to burn these fats, what do you want to do? Okay? So the only way for you to burn these fats is actually first to lower down your insulin. So how will you lower down your insulin? Of course, by lowering your blood sugar. And how will you lower your blood sugar? You just remove the food that increases blood sugar in the first place. So of all 3 macronutrients that we have, or the major food groups, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So there's 3 types. So fats will actually have minimal insulin effect. Protein will have somewhat a little insulin effect, but carbohydrates will have very large insulin effect. So, lowering your carbohydrate intake, even if you eat a lot of these, even if your carbohydrate intake is just, say for example, 200 calories, that is enough still to increase your sugar. But your fats and proteins, especially more on fats, even if you're gonna take 1,000 calories in a day, your blood sugar will be low. And as long as your blood sugar is low, and it is not a scary low, it is actually a normal low, your insulin will still be low because there's no need for your insulin to increase because your sugar is low. And that's the reason why there will be no blockade for your insulin, and these fats will just be burned. So it's burned. And it can now be used as energy. So that's the basic of why eating carbohydrates, eating sugar, will never lead to fat loss. Okay? And there's another way that insulin damages our system. Because aside from lowering the blood sugar and blocking the fat burning, actually insulin is one of the worst things there is, especially if you're already not a child. Of course, insulin is good when it is kept low and when it is given at the right population. Say for example, a growing child, a young baby, a newborn baby, a mother who's a newly pregnant mother who still needs some insulin in order to grow her child. But generally, insulin, so what do we already know? Insulin leads to lowered blood sugar. It also stops fat burning. But there's one thing that insulin does that is really, really damaging. And that is the worst kind. It increases fat production. That is why, even if you know people who are not eating fats, who are avoiding fatty foods, those people who have never had lechon for the longest time, who's always saying no to fried foods, even if they avoid that, but they continue to eat, say for example, rice, bread, colas, or lots of fruits, or sometimes one of the somewhat, I'm sorry to say this, sometimes I really find it funny or sometimes disheartening that whenever I see and meet new people and they tell me, I'm on a diet, I'm only eating kamote. I'm on a diet, I'm only eating banana. And that kamote, that root crop, that banana, even if I just told them that fruits is not allowed, and then they will ask, how about banana, doc? As if banana is a special entity of its own. I would like to remind you that banana is a fruit. It's sugar loaded, fructose loaded, and it will still have an insulin effect. So if you want, we put banana there. So even if you are avoiding pork, you are avoiding all the healthy oils, you are avoiding bacon, you are avoiding even olive oil, others are afraid. They're avoiding even fatty fish because they feel like it's still fats. Even if you're eating this, it will increase your insulin, and these things will be processed through our liver. So our liver is an amazing organ. It will act on it, and the sugar will come out as fat. So it will come out as triglycerides, and also as other chylomicrons or LDL. Worst kind is VLDL or very low density lipoprotein, which is made up mostly of fats. Okay? And with triglycerides, this is one of the scariest kinds of fats if ever it's very, very elevated. And it's not just when you take fats. By its name, yes, a triglyceride is like a three fat globules, three acyl with one glycerol, okay, to connect them. So triglycerides by its name, triglycerides. So tri is the three fats, 1, 2, 3, and this one is the glycerol. Glycerol or the sugar component. This is one of the worst kinds of fats because it can clog your arteries, especially if it's elevated together with an elevated blood sugar and elevated insulin that is causing most of the problems in our body. It's inflammation, it's atherosclerosis, and with immediate and sudden spike of blood sugar. That can lead to hypertension, stroke, and even heart attack. Other people, as an ENT specialist, we seldom receive patients as heart attack or stroke because that's under internal medicine. What we usually receive are patients who have bleeding nose. So they have epistaxis, intractable epistaxis. Even without manipulation, they just slept and then they woke up with bleeding nose. And I just tell them, you are still lucky that the blood vessel that exploded is not the one in your brain, it's not the one in your heart, but it's just in your nose. Okay? But that is already a very, very big wake-up call. That is already a very, very big wake-up call to really look into what you are eating and how it affects you. So, this is the reason why, for those who are saying that I'm on dirty keto or dirty low carb, I don't believe so because I don't believe that eating pork is dirty. But eating pork that is processed, like ham, bacon, what else? Tocino, chorizo, all those, then that's dirty low carb, dirty keto. But eating pork, lechon, with just salt, with just pepper, with just natural ingredients, the ones that we found locally without any processed MSG or anything else, I don't think lechon is dirty. But lechon is dirty if you pair it up with carbs. Okay? So eating lechon actually, animal meat products are zero carbs. Animal meat is 0 calories. 0 calories coming from carbs. Okay? So that's why when you eat lechon, as long as there's no rice in it, as long as there's no cola, no dessert, no fruits, it will not result into triglycerides. Okay? It can just be processed as is, as LDL, and it can be used by our body as energy. Because actually, the moment we eat a lot of cholesterol and all those fats, we don't absorb those, and those foods actually don't become fats that we are afraid. Only about 30% of dietary cholesterol intake are absorbed. So the rest of those 70%, usually you just poop them. Okay? So those, or it stays in your lining, and later on, if you go into fasting, you can get that as extra food. But 30% of only 30% of dietary intake are absorbed. Okay? And it's now seen in the researches and studies that triglycerides formation is only increased if it's paired up with carbohydrates. Because, of course, how can you make triacylglycerol triglycerides if there's no carbohydrates in it? What you will do, what your body can do whenever you eat animal meats is make lipoproteins. Okay? So lipoproteins are lipids plus proteins, because what you have would be animal meat products, which is mostly composed of fats and proteins. So lipoproteins, you have LDL, you have HDL, you have VLDL, you even have IDL or intermediate size. Okay? And these are actually not really bad kinds of fats, although we are afraid whenever we have elevated LDL. But actually, LDL and these lipoproteins are the lipids that are functional in our body. That is, when you are already in ketosis, when you are already fat adapted, that you are already fueling on ketones, these lipoproteins are the ones that will deliver the energy to your cells. So, for those who are afraid that they have increased LDL and they've been in keto for 2 months, 3 months, and they've been really religious and they're afraid, why are you afraid that your LDL is high when your LDL is your own energy source? Why would you afraid? You will only get afraid if it is together with increased sugar and increased insulin. But if not, then you have nothing to worry. LDL is just saying that you are fueling on LDL. It's like when you're using LDL, you are already fueling in gasoline and no longer using wood or coal. Okay? So that's why when you're fueling on gasoline, you wouldn't expect your coal and your wood to increase because you're fueling in gasoline. And when you're fueling in gasoline and you have ample amount of gasoline, and therefore you are doing something right. Okay? So yes, yan, we can eat lechon as long as you eat lechon either alone or with low carb vegetables, or just enjoy it as is. Okay? And our topic is low calorie diet. Okay? Low calorie diet is different from low carb. So low calorie diet will take note of the caloric amount of food. So we will have an example. So a 70 kilogram man will actually have an average of 2,000 kcal of necessary of necessary energy expenditure. So a low calorie diet, you just make sure it is the theory says that as long as you eat below this, you will lose weight. And of course that is correct. But it is the quality of weight loss that we are after. Quality of weight loss. So what kind of weight is lost when you're on a low calorie diet? So if you can remember our diagram of energy expenditure, we have three important figures, okay? So this is the energy expenditure in oxidation process. And then this is the time where we fast, for example, or during the days that we eat less. So there's day 0 there, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, so on. So during the first few days, so you are fueling on glucose, okay? So you're fueling on glucose. And the first 2 days is the hardest. It is really the hardest because you're not yet fat adapted. But as you go in this part, since the glucose that came from your food intake is already going low, so this is glucose, so your body will try to compensate to make its own new glucose that is from your proteins or what we say as gluconeogenesis. So this one is glucose from diet. And this one, the new glucose will be coming from your muscles or proteins or mostly autophagy, okay? So initially, your source of protein as energy will not be coming from proteins, okay? But during this time, to compensate, it will have a slight increase, okay? In hope that you will be able to eat more glucose-rich foods in here. However, our body is so intelligent that it knows it needs to protect and preserve the muscles that we have in order for us to survive, or else we wouldn't have survived. So the proteins will have an increased spike in here. But whenever it sees that no glucose is coming in, it will just start to go down and preserve the muscles. And this one will be down low. So where will we get our energy? So our energy now will be coming from fats. So our fats initially, because we are on diet that is what we say as insulin spiking and fat inhibiting as energy. So initially our fats, seldom do we use that. But the moment it gets low, it will start to increase. So our body will now start using fats as energy. Okay? It's that. So what happens when you're on a low calorie diet is you never move past this episode. Okay? This point. Can you see that? This point. This point of increased protein usage and breakdown in order to make your glucose. Because our body needs to maintain a normal glucose. So a normal blood sugar is about 70 to 100. So it needs to maintain that. So it will do whatever it takes in order to normalize that. So first it can get from your diet, and then later on first it will get from your food, and then later on from your glycogen stores, and then later on it will make its new through gluconeogenesis. Okay? And gluconeogenesis actually doesn't just happen in your liver, but it also happens in your kidneys. So over time, as you fast, as you move longer in your fast, your kidneys will actually assist in making more glucose to meet your needs. And it's something that we've discussed in the previous videos, that it is something that we should not worry because we have ample amount of glucose coming in. We can get from triglycerides, we can get from the misfolded proteins, the ones that's causing dysfunction in our body, the ones that's causing blurring of our eyes, the ones that's causing brain fog, the ones causing joint pains, and all those, and even the previous scars, even the skin tags. And that's why there are a lot of testimonials that people go on longer fast. They just noted their skin tags just falling off like magic. So this one, what happens with a low calorie diet if it's sustained? Yes, they lose weight. But the saddest part and the scary part is that they are losing weight not from fats, because they never move past this episode, but they're stuck in this episode. Okay? This one is a time where your body is in real starvation, where it already uses your own muscles and of course some little of your fats as energy. So you will know that you're actually on a not a good kind of diet and not a good kind of a schedule, because the moment you lose muscles, although you lose weight, you look thin, but you will also look very, very old, and you will feel weak. You don't have energy. So for those of you who are doing this or unknowingly doing this, sometimes a lot of a lot of beginners in low carb always mistaken low carb nutrition as low calorie. So they are actually stuck in here. Yes, they lose some weight, but they also are no longer functional. They cannot experience what we always say as focus, as brain clarity, as increased attention, increased energy. They cannot relate to that because they are simply not eating enough and they are eating the wrong things. Okay? So what they are doing is actually eating their muscles. And when they eat their muscles, they will no longer have the energy and they will deteriorate and deteriorate. And it's not just the muscles that we have on the muscles. It's all the kinds of proteins that we have. That's why other people experience falling hair, dryness of skin, scaling, some forms of dermatitis, and so many other manifestations of protein loss. And that is just not sustainable. So, how can we make low calorie work for us according to our wants without losing muscles, yet still maintain weight loss, still maintain autophagy, although not as amazing as you are doing strict fasting, but still a lot of autophagy. So it will have something to do still with, of course, our macronutrients. So the type of food that you will eat will still dictate that. Okay? The wrong thing, in summary, the worst thing that you can do on a low calorie diet is if you are eating mostly carbohydrates. So if you know, I'm sure you know at least one person saying, eto na lang yung kinakain ko. I'm only eating this biscuit, this famous cracker with a logo similar to that of our Philippine flag color. Okay? I'm only eating this alone and still I'm not losing in any weight. It's because you are eating a lot of carbohydrates, so even if it's just very little, but it will still have an insulin effect. And when there is insulin effect, there is blockade of fat burning. So you are stuck on that point where you are forming or supplementing your other glucose need coming from your muscles, coming from your essential proteins in the body, and that is not a good thing. One thing also that can lead to low calorie, that is muscle wasting, is also eating also pure proteins, but very minimal. Okay? Because proteins plus carbohydrates will still have some insulin effect. And once again, as long as there's insulin effect, there will be no fat burning. Okay? So, I think meron dito, there are so many here that has foresight, that has wisdom. Camille asking, how about if we combine low calorie and low carb diet? Actually, that is one trick that you can do, and it is the one that is supported with so many studies that is essential for weight loss and healing, but you are not completely fasting. Because I know, even if I've experienced longer fast, I really understand how hard it is for others to fast, even just 24 hours, 48 hours. I don't I don't consider fasting as easy. Even if I've done it many times, the struggle is still different each time. So, I understand that others cannot fast, but with science on our side, we can actually do a low calorie and also low carb. But this time, since we are on low carb, our usual low carb in Life Without Rice is just low carb. We leave it to you if you want to do high fat or moderate fat or high protein, moderate protein, whatever. But with low calorie, that can work when it comes to fat loss. All you need is a low carb diet plus high fat. So this is where LCHF comes in. So for those of you who have read my books or Dr. Jason Fong, you understand what's LCHF. So low carb, high fat diet. And at lower calorie, what you will actually come out would be a fast mimicking diet. That even if you're eating, your body will feel like you're fasting. Okay? So, can you appreciate that? So, that is important for us to understand. And if we want to understand that further, we will go back with our energy expenditure chart, which is something like this again, right? So, chin, 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 chin. So, this is your glucose, and this is your proteins, and this is your fat, okay? This is your fats. Fats, this is your glucose, this is your proteins. So, with low calorie, LCHF diet. So this one, if this is the chart of a completely fasting person, so the estimated chart of the ones in LCHF would be something like this. So slowly, fat. So it would be like that. So a little slower, but still in here. But this fats will not just be coming from your own body. This will become, so it will still be the same angle. It's just that this time, the fats that will be used here is not just the fats that's in your arms, in your buttocks, in your belly, but it's already the fats that's coming from partly your body, belly, blood, yes, the triglycerides, LDL that's been roaming around your blood, but also your food. Okay? So your food can provide the additional fats. So you can still ensure that your fats will continuously burn. It's just that in a slower process as compared to not eating at all, like to fasting. But you can still enjoy fat burning. And you still can eat a little. So theoretically, you can consume not more than 18 grams of proteins for you to stay in ketosis. So 18 grams of proteins, example of 18 grams of protein, so that would be 1, 2, 3 eggs. So 3 eggs is 18 grams of protein. So for example, if you want to do a fast mimicking diet, in theory, I'm not suggesting that, of course. This is just a plain discussion of our human biochemistry, because I found my favorite book here. So in here, this is my med school textbook, So textbook of biochemistry, for those of you who are wondering where I get my sources. So this is textbook of biochemistry. This is not any biased or, say for example, guidelines or influenced by anything. So this textbook of biochemistry is just talking about biochemistry, and it's all here. I will show you there later a graph that you would appreciate how amazing our body is. So 3 eggs is 18 grams of protein. What else? An example of 3 eggs. Around two drumsticks of chicken is about 18 grams of proteins. But you have to make sure that the remaining the remaining food that you will take is mostly fats. And your carbohydrates, it should be as much as possible 0. Okay? Low carb or 0 carb, high fat is the only way that you can make low calorie an effective weight loss strategy, lowering blood sugar, making your insulin more sensitive again, without jeopardizing your muscles. So your muscles will still be protected and intact. And I understand for those of you who have digital weighing scale, you will notice there fluctuations of your muscles. Of course, that is not an accurate measurement. Those are just simply estimates, and the fluctuations on your muscle mass is actually not real lean muscles. It's just the glycogen or the carbohydrate part of your muscles that's been sponging up, absorbing all the water that will be lost the moment you go into ketosis, the moment you start eating less carbohydrates, and the moment you are starting using fats as fuel. So it will appear like part of your muscle is lost, but actually it's not really part of your muscle, but it's just the water component of your muscle that was lost. Okay? So how long can this be sustainable? I know there are a lot of people who would like to stay for this one for as long as they can, especially for those who want to lose weight. So I can give you as an example is Angus Barbeiri. I'm not sure of the spelling. So Sir Angus Barbeiri, something like that. He's the person who did the longest fast of 382 days. Of course, he was way overweight when he started. Okay? So I think from 280 something, almost 300 kilos, I think he ended up at around 87 to 90 kilos. But he was a Caucasian, so his height was so tall. That was already somewhat okay for his height. So what he did during these times is he only takes soup and just fluids. So with those soups and fluid, there's some calorie in it. Some mostly if it's bone broth, so there's a lot of fat in it. But what he took was vitamins, multivitamins, electrolytes, and other supplements, soups and fluid. Okay, so this was already way back 80s, 90s, or some time ago, because he already died. Okay, so why did he took these? This is because our body can actually live very long without food. In fact, I will show you here a graph in a table in our book. So how long can we stay? How long can we last without food? Let's check in here. So for those of you who are thinking that I'm just making this up, so this one I can show you. So in here, so what can you see? So this one, it's the glycogen. Okay, so those are an average person will have that much extra energy stuck in his body. Okay, so as you can see, the first thing here, glycogen in our liver will be around 70 grams. Okay, so that you can appreciate where we can get our energy. So here, I will put it here, our glycogen, which can still be converted into glucose, is about 70 grams coming from our liver. And then we have glycogen coming from our muscles, which is about 120 grams in our muscles. And glucose from our fluids, from our blood and fluids, is about 20 grams. So that's really, really low, right? But did you know that our proteins, to which we really preserve, is about 6,000 grams. So by kilocalories, you just have to multiply these ones by 4. So say for example, the 70 gram times 4, so that's 280 kcal. Okay? So this 6,000, 6 times 4, 24,000. Is that right? 24,000 kilocalories. Okay? But the most surprising of all would be our fats. Okay? Our fats can provide we have an average of 15,000 grams of fats, or that's about 15 kilos. So 15,000 grams times 9, because per gram of fats is equal to 9 kcal. So that's actually 135,000 kilocalories. And if our example, what's our example? Our 70 kilogram man who is needing 2,000 kilocal per day. So 135 kilocalories, 135,000 divided by 2. So that is what? 60, 65, 62. So that's actually 62.5 days worth of energy stored in an average person. So that is why we can fast. And yes, there are those like Juliet who are experiencing hair loss with low carb and OMAD. So we go back with Angus, because on average we have energy stores, energy equivalent to at least a minimum of 62.5 worth. 62, was it 62 or 67.5? 67.5 days worth of fasting energy. Of energy that we can live. But what we cannot live without are the vitamins and minerals. Especially electrolytes. Because the fats will become ketones in order for it to become energy. This is the energy currency that our body understands. So fats into ketones, but the machinery, okay, the machinery that it needs in order to run, in order to convert these fats into ketones, it will need minerals, electrolytes, and vitamins. So that's why it is not sustainable to fast that long without supplementation. Others have done it, but they end up the nutrient deficiency and losing their bones as part of our minerals stores. So our bones is also our storage for most of the vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. So others have done it that they don't take so much supplements, but it will be under the property of their bones. Some in our skin, some in our nails and hair. So that's why we have some episodes of malnourishment or deficiency. And that's what happens when you are eating OMAD and eating low carb. That is also low calorie. Okay? And of course, even if egg is very, very much important and very, very much nutritious, but eggs will not have all of those minerals. That is why others are thinking that as long as you eat so many eggs in a day, your needs will already be covered. That is also the moderators and the admins of low carb, the feasting and fasting community, and life without rice are also promoting variety when it comes to food. So for those of you who are asking why some of your posts are not approved, or some of your food ideas were somewhat rejected, it's because we are promoting food variety. Because with food variety, you can get multiple vitamins and minerals. Okay? Because eating the same thing each day, every day, will make you deficient on at least one or two of the minerals and vitamins and minerals that we need in order to sustain that machinery that can help us, our body, to convert those fats into usable energy. Okay? Or else, those fats that are readily available into energy, so ketones, as ketones, will never cross this bridge if we don't have this. So with modernization and our responsibilities in our lives, it's really hard. Even for me, it's hard to make the food as variety, as colorful, as nutrient dense as I want it to be. That's why I really as for me, personally speaking, and with our family, we take vitamins and mineral supplements, especially if we know there are days that we are not eating enough. So salt is one of the most essential, but salt cannot live alone. Okay? Next one is potassium. So you can get that from green leafy vegetables. So if you are eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, then that's good. Egg yolks also will have some potassium. And also magnesium. So magnesium, you will get that from liver, from organ meats, okay? But mostly this mineral can be taken if you have, like, for example, a spring water, you're living near a falls, and the water there is still so rich and natural that there's a lot of magnesium there. Because magnesium, its absorption, actually, its best route of absorption is through our skin. So that's why there are products that are in sprays, like magnesium sprays, and even Epsom salt. So Epsom salt, the one that we use to Epsom bath for our foot spa, or something like to soften the foot, those you can actually absorb some of those magnesium. But if not, you can get that also from nuts and seeds. It has a lot of magnesium. It's just that the absorption is not that good because its own phytonutrients, there are chemicals in those plants that makes you even inhibit absorption of those minerals. So that's why for easy fix for the busy people, we can actually maximize modern times wherein there are magnesium that are already in tablet form. Okay? So I'm not promoting anything. I'm not being sponsored by anything. So I have magnesium here with me. So in here. So no brand, no anything. Any magnesium I can find, that's okay. There are different second names of magnesium: magnesium oxide, magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate. So they're all okay, but magnesium oxide have the least amount of absorption. So even if it's 500 milligrams, you might just be absorbing only 100 or 150 there, as compared to a 400 milligram glycinate or citrate. You are mostly absorbing all of them. Okay. Other more important, so vitamin C, since we cannot make our own ascorbic acid, unlike dogs. So dogs, if you have a dog and you feel like he is sick and you think you want to give him vitamin C, actually that's of no use, because our dogs has the enzyme that can create its own vitamin C. So it's no need. But for us, vitamin C is essential, although seldom now that we have vitamin C deficiency. And also B complex. So B complex are mostly found multivitamins B1, B3, B2, B3, B6, B9, B12. Those can be found mostly in red meats or really meaty stuff. The most bioavailable are the ones in our meat. So grass-fed grass-fed beef, pork. If it's not a free-range chicken, then the B vitamins. And if it's not a free-range or an organic egg, it has lesser B complex. But if it's just the usual poultry raised, it's mostly lesser content, but it will still have some B complex. So that's why B complex is also very, very essential in this process of converting fats into ketones. Okay, what else? Vitamin D. Okay, so I always emphasize that vitamin D is coming from our sun, right? So I would like to make it as an emphasis for those who are thinking that I lack vitamin D even if I'm working under the sun almost 24 hours. It's because in our skin, the effect of sun in order to make a vitamin D is just activation. So vitamin D has different forms. D1, D2, D3, like that. So the ones in our skin is, I think, D2. And with sun exposure, it will activate it into D3. Okay? But if you do not have D1 or D2 or vitamin D3 precursor in the first place, even if no matter how long you are under the sun, you will never form vitamin D3. And do you know what is the primary precursor of vitamin D3? Of vitamin D? Can anybody guess? Vitamin D, before it became 1, before it became 2, before it can become the needed vitamin D for our body's needs, it may come as a surprise. It's from cholesterol. So for those of you who are afraid to take cholesterol, just remember, why are you afraid to take something that our body even creates? Cholesterol is so essential. Okay? Cholesterol is the mother of vitamin D. Without cholesterol, there will be no vitamin D. That's why you see a lot of people now who are very low in vitamin D. And what do they have in common? They've been avoiding fats for so long. They've been avoiding eating fats. They've been avoiding cholesterol for so long. And they ended up having deficiency in vitamin D3. Okay? So, vitamin D is one of the 4 lipid-soluble vitamins. So, A, D, E, and K. ADEK. So, these are lipid in form vitamins. So, you can also get these from fatty foods, fatty sources. The more natural, the better. Okay? So, vitamin D, we eat as cholesterol, and then the sun rays will activate the ones in our skin and in our kidneys. Part of that is a long process until it becomes vitamin D3. But without cholesterol, there can be no vitamin D3. So people are now giving you tablets in vitamin D3 form. If you're afraid, if you're really afraid to eat fat still. So you can drink your vitamin D3 activated if you want that. So that's already 59 minutes and 19 seconds of our time. I think that's all for today. I hope you learned something. So it's up to you on how you will go about it. So this is just a general knowledge. I'm so happy I found my book again. So I used a different book way back in med school. I used Harper's. This one is Devlin. I don't bring it much before in med school because it's heavy. So I'm so lazy. before. So I just bring the Harpers because it's small. Anyway, thank you so much. If you like this episode, I hope you can if you want to learn more, I hope you can join our masterclass. So our episode is limited to only about an hour. And if you want to learn in a more structured way, wherein the learning curve will be really, really good. You won't tend to forget what you learned the previous time and then reapply again and then keep asking the same questions with no retention. I really suggest that you join our masterclass. So our masterclass will be this coming April 10. It will be a 4 Saturdays. So it's about 6 hours per Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Philippines time. So I think somebody asked which country are we? So we are in the Philippines, but our masterclass is open worldwide. We already have registrants coming from Europe, from Hong Kong, from USA, from Australia, from New Zealand, and of course from Philippines. And I'm so happy that there are a few number of people who are going to attend here, face to face, right here in Bacolod, to join our masterclass. So you can do it for coaching purposes, for your own wellness coaching, and if you are a doctor, a licensed dietitian, or any healthcare worker, then I encourage you to do so, because again, the science behind low carb nutrition is just too compelling to ignore. It's just too compelling not to share to the rest of the world. We have to share it, if not for our own sake, for our loved ones. Okay? So how much do you value your health? How much do you value your loved ones? And how do you like the idea of knowing exactly how illnesses are formed, and knowing exactly how it can be prevented, and how to even reverse it the natural way, to maximize the tips and tricks of modern day life, and to apply these modernization in order for our ancient body to function well and thrive with longevity in this world. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. Hello to Sir Norwin Crespo, our producer in Global TV Network, for allowing me this. If you guys like this, kindly share to your timeline, share to your friends and families, and I hope that you will get to also enjoy this and save this and share this to everyone that we know. Maraming salamat po. This has been a very, very great episode and a great afternoon to all of you. It's almost Holy Week. I hope you will join our Life Without Rice page. We will be posting Lenten special menu that is low carb for all of us to enjoy. That's it for now. Maraming salamat po. You enjoy the rest of the week. Be productive, be fruitful, and also stay low carb always so that we will all stay safe. Bye-bye!